What if I told you that the sheet of paper sitting on your desk has lived 1,000 lives before? In fact, it could have once been a school assignment, a grocery list, or even a best-selling novel's first draft. There's a hidden process that breathes life back into paper, one that's both complex and full of surprises. But here's the twist. It's not as simple as shredding and reprinting. There's a vital step that determines whether your old paper becomes usable again, or whether it's lost forever. Curious to know what it is? Keep watching, because what happens next might just make you think twice before tossing that next sheet of paper. Stage 1. Collection and sorting. Recycling begins at the moment you place your used paper into the recycling bin. From there, it's collected by recycling companies or local municipal services. At this point, different types of paper are mixed together: newspapers, office paper, cardboard, and more. But not all paper is created equal. The first important step is sorting, as paper products vary in their fiber quality. For example, office paper has longer fibers and can be recycled more times than cardboard, which has shorter fibers. Contaminants such as plastic, food residue, or non-paper materials must also be removed to avoid spoiling the batch. Paper may go through a series of conveyor belts where it is separated by hand or machines into different categories: cardboard, mixed paper, or high-grade office paper. Once sorted, the paper is bundled into large bales and transported to recycling facilities. The quality of sorting can dramatically affect the quality of the recycled product and the amount of waste generated in the process. Once properly sorted, the real process begins, breaking down the paper fibers to make something new. If you are new to this channel, smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I mean, watching paper reincarnate is way cooler when you join the recycling revolution. Stage 2. Pulping. The pulping process is the cornerstone of recycling paper, where sorted paper is broken down into its most basic component, cellulose fibers. This is achieved by mixing the paper with water and chemicals in large machines known as pulpers. Once the paper enters the pulper, water is added to soften it, and chemicals are introduced to help break down any adhesives or coatings present in the paper. Sodium hydroxide and sodium silicate are common chemicals used in this process to dissolve these substances. Inside the pulper, rotating blades or agitators continuously churn the mixture, allowing the fibers to separate. This process reduces the paper into a slurry that consists of about 99% water and 1% fiber. The process usually lasts for several minutes to ensure that the paper is fully broken down. During this stage, any leftover contaminants, such as staples and plastic bits, are removed. The pulper uses centrifugal force to spin and separate the fibers from these unwanted materials. Special screens filter out contaminants, while magnets pull out metallic materials like paper clips and staples. Water plays a critical role, allowing the paper to break down into its original fibers and making it easier to clean the pulp. Stage 3. Cleaning and screening. At this stage, the paper pulp is still a bit rough around the edges. While large contaminants like staples and paper clips have been removed, smaller impurities, like bits of glue or dirt, may remain. This is where cleaning and screening come into play. The goal is to remove any remaining impurities that could affect the quality of the new paper. The cleaning process involves passing the pulp through a series of screens with tiny holes. These screens act as filters, catching small contaminants that were missed earlier. Think of it like straining pasta. Only the pure fibers can pass through the mesh. Additionally, the pulp goes through cleaning machines that spin it at high speeds. This spinning action forces heavier contaminants like sand or dirt to move to the outer edges, where they can be removed. Screening and cleaning are essential to ensure the pulp is of high quality. If any foreign materials make it into the next stage, they could weaken the paper or cause defects in the finished product. By the end of this stage, the pulp is not only clean but also refined, making it ready for the next phase of its transformation, deinking. Stage 4. Deinking. If you've ever wondered how printed materials like newspaper or brochures get recycled without their ink, deinking is the answer. Deinking removes the ink, adhesives, and other non-paper materials that could contaminate the recycled pulp. The deinking process typically involves two techniques: flotation and washing. In flotation, air is pumped through the pulp, creating bubbles. These bubbles attract ink particles, which stick to them and rise to the surface. The ink-filled bubbles are then skimmed off, leaving behind clean pulp. In the washing technique, the pulp is rinsed with water multiple times, which helps to wash away any remaining ink particles. One of the biggest challenges in deinking is dealing with modern inks. Digital printing inks and other complex coatings can be harder to remove, requiring special deinking chemicals. The success of the deinking process determines the brightness and cleanliness of the recycled paper. After deinking, the pulp is almost ready to be formed into new paper. First, however, it needs to be treated to improve its quality. Stage 5. Bleaching. Once the ink has been removed, the recycled paper pulp is still not completely white. This is where bleaching comes in. Bleaching is used to increase the brightness of the pulp and make the final product look as clean and white as possible. The bleaching process doesn't involve harmful chlorine chemicals as it used to in the past. Instead, environmentally friendly agents like hydrogen peroxide are now used. The pulp is treated with these chemicals to break down any remaining color, leaving the fibers brighter. The goal is to get the pulp to a uniform whiteness, which will ensure that the final recycled paper has a consistent appearance. However, not all recycled paper is bleached. Some paper products, like cardboard, don't require the same level of brightness as white office paper. In those cases, this step might be skipped. While making the paper brighter is important, over-bleaching can weaken the fibers, reducing the durability of the paper. Once the pulp has reached the desired brightness, it is almost ready to be transformed into paper again. But before that, it needs to be thickened up to prepare for the final stage. Stage 6. Thickening and Drying. After bleaching, the pulp is still mostly water, with only about 1% of it being actual paper fiber. To transform this mixture into something that resembles paper, it needs to be thickened and dried. The thickening process starts by draining out most of the water from the pulp. Large machines press and squeeze the pulp, reducing its water content and making it thicker. Once thickened, the pulp is ready to move on to the drying process. The pulp is passed through large rollers, which press it even more, removing the remaining moisture. Some of these rollers are heated to speed up the drying process, while others are designed to smooth out the pulp, making it flat and uniform. By the end of this stage, the pulp has gone from a soupy mix to a sheet that's strong enough to be handled. The thickening and drying stages are crucial for creating a sheet of paper that has the right consistency and durability. If the pulp isn't dried properly, the paper can be weak or prone to tearing. Now that the paper is dried and ready, the next stage is to refine it into a finished product. Stage 7. Pressing and Smoothing. The drying process isn't enough to give the paper its final form. To get the perfect texture, the paper goes through a series of presses and rollers that flatten and smooth the surface. This process is called pressing, and it helps to bond the fibers more tightly together, making the paper stronger and more durable. After pressing, the paper is smoothed out to create an even surface. Special rollers called calendars give the paper its final texture. Depending on the type of paper being made, the surface can be left rough for products like cardboard, or it can be made silky smooth for high-quality office paper. Some recycled paper products also receive additional coatings or treatments to make them more durable or water-resistant. By the end of this stage, the recycled paper looks almost identical to freshly manufactured paper. Before use, the paper sheets are cut to size, whether A4, large rolls, or specialty types. Each sheet undergoes quality checks for defects like tears or rough edges. After passing inspection, the paper is packaged and shipped to stores or manufacturers. Recycled paper can be reused 5 to 7 times before the fibers become too short. So that piece of paper in your hands might have lived many lives before, and with proper care, it can be recycled yet again, continuing the cycle of sustainability. Surprised by how your old notebooks can come back as fresh paper? What part of the recycling process intrigued you the most? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights.